Nothing has been giving me more joy lately in this holiday season than watching the MAGA movement fall apart. Donald Trump is scrambling desperately to hold on to MAGA. He's also struggling to hold on to reality, which is clearly slipping away from him fast. But new fractures keep appearing every single day. And the newest one is basically a death blow to Donald Trump, with another Republican announcing today that they are abandoning him. It's a bombshell we're about to break down. But before that, if I could quickly ask you to like this video, and if you haven't already and enjoy our channel, hit that subscribe button because it really helps support our work. Now, before diving into this latest bombshell on Donald Trump, I want to begin with some reporting about all the tensions inside MAGA and who could be next, and why that might spell the end for Mike Johnson, too.
The arrogance of this White House team is off-putting to members who are run roughshod and threatened. They don't even allow little wins like announcing small grants or even responding from agencies. Not even the high profile, the regular rank and file, random members are more upset than ever. Members know they are going into the minority after the midterms. More explosive early resignations are coming. It's a tinderbox. Morale has never been lower. Mike Johnson will be stripped of his gavel, and they will lose the majority before this term is out. That's not a reporter summarizing what the reporter has found. That is a senior House Republican putting it in writing, in a text, saying, members know they are going into the minority after the midterms. It's a tinderbox. Morale has never been lower. Mike Johnson will be stripped of his gavel. In other words, the senior House Republican who wrote that is a rational politician who can see that insane policies that hurt voters will hurt the party supporting those policies. You do bad things in government and you lose elections. And what that senior House Republican is saying is that virtually all House Republicans know this. The senior members, the junior members. And that's why it's a tinderbox. What they need to turn the tinderbox into a functioning congressional party is for a calming, steady leader to guide them. And they're stuck with Donald Trump. And so they know it's hopeless. And what is Donald Trump's relentlessly incompetent White House staff trying to do? They're trying to guide Donald Trump and the Republicans out of the tinderbox to political safety by simply having them completely reverse themselves on health care and embrace Obamacare. The New York Times reports President Trump, who has repeatedly denounced the Affordable Care Act as a disaster, is considering backing an extension of insurance subsidies tied to the health law that are set to expire at the end of the year. According to a senior White House official, Mr. Trump has not made a final decision, the official said. The tinderbox must have loved that, right? It's a way out of their problems, right? Punchbowl News reports that the Trump healthcare proposal was supposed to be rolled out yesterday, but is now paused.
I think I'm just going to do this whole video with a big old smile on my face. It might be tough to get through it all, but this is just incredibly satisfying. And I believe the resignations reflect a wider story about what Republicans in Congress are prioritizing. Not just, of course, the Marjorie Taylor Greene one, but the ones still ahead. We're actually going to talk about that in just a moment. But I want to point out that it's significant how much more centered Republicans are on the general election, on the midterms, rather than their individual primaries. They no longer believe Donald Trump wants to get involved or can step into their primary and truly shake things up. But what is so damaging to Donald Trump is they don't think he wants to spend political capital on that. That it's simply not worth it anymore for him to try putting his thumb on the scale and deciding who's out, who's in, who's rising, who's falling. He's not going to attempt to drive these primaries the same way, just like in the recent elections in New Jersey and Virginia, you did not. You did not see Donald Trump endorse the gubernatorial candidates. Why? Because he knew they were failures. So what does it say if Donald Trump refuses to get directly involved in a Republican primary right before these midterms? It shows he knows he's about to lose. Donald Trump's control over the GOP has weakened more and more with each passing day, And Marjorie Taylor Greene is out there practically ridiculing Donald Trump, claiming he no longer holds the influence he once did, and that she is now the true face of the MAGA movement. In my view, that's exactly why she chose to step down. It wasn't some noble or principled stand. But we're also watching many other Republicans try to exit early, whether it's for their own higher political ambitions or because they're afraid they'll end up embarrassed, which is the newest revelation coming out with this announcement. Republican U.S. Representative Mike Nels says he won't seek re-election. Republican Representative Troy Nels announced on Saturday that he would not seek re-election for another term in Congress. I have made the decision after conversations with my beautiful bride and my girls over the Thanksgiving holiday to focus on my family and return home after this Congress, Nels said in a statement. Nels, 57, who represents a Texas district in the House of Representatives, said he spoke to Donald Trump before making the decision. Nels was first elected in 2020. Another Republican goes down, this time a close Trump ally, which I think is significant, especially because it's happening in Texas, where so much of the political map right now depends on whether Donald Trump and Greg Abbott's gerrymander moves forward. That map would redraw districts in a way Republicans believed would protect them when they first created it months ago. I know it feels like it was just yesterday, and somehow also 10 years ago, but when they designed those maps, they assumed Trump was already unpopular and couldn't sink much further. They expected him to hover around 43, 42, maybe 44% approval at best. But that's not what happened. Trump's latest polling shows him at 36, 35, even 34% approval, with Republican disapproval climbing. And when they built these districts, they made them so Republicans had a strong chance, not a guaranteed R+30 blowout, but an R+4 or so, something that maybe supported Trump by 6, 7, or 8 points back in 2024. That's no longer reality. We've seen huge electoral shifts this month, and I think Trump, Abbott, and Republicans in Texas now realize those safe but competitive seats they engineered might actually flip to Democrats. So if you're Troy Nels, why stay? Why stick around just to lose, just to face humiliation? Why would you want to do that? Maybe you have larger political goals, or maybe you're simply exhausted with Donald Trump. Once again, what this signals, Republicans not seeking re-election and some even hinting at resignation, is that Donald Trump's grip on MAGA has noticeably weakened. Because if Donald Trump truly viewed this guy as his closest ally, someone he absolutely relied on, he'd tell him to run again, right? He'd insist, saying your incumbent advantage could help us hold this seat. Maybe Trey Nails is thinking, I'm not so sure about this. This feels a bit unstable for me. I don't want to step out there and lose. I don't want to step out there and get humiliated. Fine, we'll push someone else into the fire. We'll let them run in this seat. That is what I'm seeing right now from many Republicans backing away and admitting, I don't want to do this. This is about to be a bloodbath, and I don't want to be caught in it. That is what's unfolding with MAGA right now. It's happening as Trump is stumbling. It's happening as he loses influence over his own party, and it's why he's panicking about the gerrymander they're trying to force through in Indiana that just isn't materializing. He essentially stabbed himself politically by using slurs, using the R word this weekend. Well, this weekend. Honestly, the weekend has felt like it lasted a year with everything Donald Trump did on Thursday night, on Thanksgiving. Of course, we then saw yesterday a Republican in the state Senate say that because they have a child with special needs and felt that Donald Trump had insulted them. Which, hey buddy, by the way, you're about a decade late on Donald Trump attacking people who are differently abled. I think maybe you should look back at the news and what was happening during his first presidential campaign. But he said he is a no. Another no when Donald Trump can barely get this gerrymander through in Indiana, so he's losing steam. He recognizes that he's losing power within his own party. He recognizes that he's flailing right now. Donald Trump actually has his sights set on one race specifically, and if you haven't been keeping up with it, you really should because it's coming down to the wire, and that is in Tennessee. Afton Bain, an incredible candidate, is scaring the out of MAGA right now. J.D. Vance just did a campaign stop, Donald Trump a little town hall. AOC is combating that by doing her own. But you need to hear more from this candidate. She might be one of the biggest blows to Donald Trump and his shrinking majority in Congress. You're going to need to take a look at.
State Representative, thank you for being with us. A lot of people seem surprised the race is this close. Are you surprised?
No, I mean, the only reason this race is competitive is because Tennesseans are feeling the pain of what's happening in Washington. Republicans and their billionaire friends are spending millions in a seat that they should be able to win without thinking. And if we flip this seat in an R+22 district, it sends a message that the Republicans need to get really serious about making healthcare more affordable.
I'm sure you've heard a lot about healthcare. When you've been talking with voters, what are the other issues that are rising to the surface?
We have a crisis of affordability in the state of Tennessee. We have the highest cost of groceries in the country. We have people, voters in the district that are driving 2 hours to access healthcare. Things are not okay. Things are really dire. And I think voters in the 7th Congressional District are looking for a candidate. And throughout this campaign, I've always said, I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what political party you belong to. But if you are upset about the cost of living and the chaos of Washington, then I'm your candidate.
Part of the big news, of course, the president and the Speaker of the House hosting a tele-rally for your opponent. Do you think that's good news or bad news for you?
I think it means they're desperate and fraught with the onslaught of attack ads against me. The only reason that they are putting out all the stops is because they don't have a plan to tackle the healthcare issue and the affordability crisis. And so I'm not surprised that they are calling in reinforcements, but I see their teletown hall and I raise them 10,000 doors that we're probably going to knock this weekend.
I want to hear what it is you're hearing from voters on the other side of those doors, because that is, you are correct, the real work. What does it tell you, though, that it's a tele-rally, that they couldn't get their butts to Tennessee?
I don't know. Perhaps they want to keep some distance between this incredibly unpopular candidate that they're running, who is my opposition. But like I said, I mean, we have knocked tens of thousands of doors in this campaign. I just left a middle of the day, get out the vote canvas with 40 people. The energy here is palpable and voters want change. And so my pitch has always been, if you want more of the status quo, if you want more of billionaires selling you out, then I'm not your candidate.
There is a genuine chance right now that Republicans choose to step down in large numbers from Congress. And if we manage to win this seat, it becomes even more risky because those resignations, whether they're tied to Pete Hecht's war crimes, Donald Trump repeating Putin's messaging, the Epstein files, you name it, those departures make it far easier for that gavel to be handed over to a possible speaker, Hockey Jeff. This is major. We need to stay focused on Tennessee. We're going to keep covering this on the show. If you want to support that, as always, tap that subscribe button, hit like on this video. If you made it to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep pushing, y'all. Don't let them quiet you.